Good morning, everyone. My name is Christy. Welcome to my corner. Thanks for joining me today for Flosstube 117, I believe. I am drinking coffee out of my cafe mug, and this is actually my second time starting because I basically just talked for like 3 minutes about my mug. And that's not what you're here for. It is Saturday, February 3rd, 2024. I hope I didn't already say that in this take. And I normally film on Friday mornings, but we had a household emergency yesterday that I'll talk about at the end. That way, if you're not interested in hearing about my household emergency and kind of what a difficult, stressful, busy, whatever week this was, I'll put that at the end so you can, bail if you're not interested. But I do have some fun stitching. I've worked on 3 whips and I have a new start, but it's my mood stitching new start. So that doesn't really count because it's a constant, it's supposed to be one of my daily stitching. So it's a new start, but not really. Yeah. And I'm just going to talk about plans. I got a little gifty that I will show you. That's kind of it was a joke gifty. And I don't have any purchases. I have not been purchasing things. One of my goals this year is to purchase more mindfully and stitch from stash and only not to purchase to increase my stash. That's my goal. So I can purchase things if I'm in the middle of a project and I need something, or if I want to start a project immediately and I need the thing, I can buy it, but otherwise I can't. Although I can go into plans. There was a little purchase for plans that is Stitchy adjacent. But before we get to any of that, I want to welcome my new subscribers. Thank you so much for joining me on my crafty and artistic adventures. Welcome back to all my friends who've been hanging out with me for however long you've been with me. It's been great to get to know you in the comments here on YouTube and also on Instagram and in various Zooms and on Discord now, like all these different places where I have a Stitchy friend groups, and it's really wonderful. So thank you all for joining me. This is a channel about embroidery and cross stitch and other textile crafts and history and the history of those things. So if you're not subscribed and you're interested in any of that, I would love to have you subscribe and stick around. And I'm wearing another new t-shirt today. I inspired Rachel from Rachel Ray's Crafts to, or I guess she's Rachel Ray Fiber Arts on YouTube for her cross stitch channel. But anyway, I inspired her to get a t-shirt, Monty Python t-shirt, and then I got this t-shirt. Get in, losers! We're going on an adventure. It's a cartoon Gandalf from Lord of the Rings. All right, let's talk stitching. So first of all, I want to thank my patrons. I do have a Patreon, and I want to thank them all for, being a part of my community and for supporting my work. It has been really instrumental in allowing me to continue to make videos and do all these things that I love doing. So thanks to my patrons. I couldn't do it without you. You are wonderful. And I decided I have a tier that's Happy Mail, where I send out Happy Mail, which I'm going to send out January and February together in February. And January's was a coloring page version of my Temperature Dragon. So a lot of you have been asking about coloring page versions of my temperature patterns, and I did one for my patrons. So if you're interested in that, you can check out my Patreon. The link is down below. What have I been doing? Well, I'm so glad you asked. First of all, an oldie but goodie. This is a mix, actually lots of mixed media. This is a mixed media piece. It's paint and embroidery and beading of Hildegard of Bingen's Cosmic Egg. I don't have the picture. But if you search through my videos for Cosmic Egg, you'll find a whole video about the Cosmic Egg. I'm not editing. Oh, here's a tiny picture in my needle minder. So that's what it looks like. It's a manuscript page, image, illuminated manuscript from a 12th century medieval nun who had visions. And so this is her vision of the world. And I'll just kind of show you one here. The earth is in the middle. And then we have sort of clouds and the firmament with stars, the moon, the sun, the 5 planets you can see with the naked eye, lots of different winds, and then this kind of fire on the outside. And this has always been my favorite medieval image. So I did a mixed media version of this just like this and sold / gave it to a friend of mine for her birthday. And so I'm making myself one. And my holdup, I started this probably a year and a half, 2 years ago. My holdup is that I ran out of paint. So I had to paint this inside piece here. And I ran out of paint and it just wasn't a good color. So like last weekend, I painted it. I bought more paint and I painted it. I mean, it's just fucking paint. Like it's watercolor. I live 3 miles from a Michael's craft store. Like I bought more paint and I painted it. So that's painted now. So this now lives in my house with the Stitchy bag and I can continue stitching on it. But this is taking sort of a back seat to my other mixed media project because my other mixed media project has a deadline. I am doing a mixed media correspondence course through the Embroidery Guild of America taught by Laura Smith. And in this class, I'm learning lots of different techniques to play around with different materials. And it is so much fun. I am shifting to becoming a mixed media girl in my art, let me tell you. I love it so much. We learned 4 techniques in this book. I really love 3 of them. One of them I don't love, but that's okay. 3 out of 4 isn't bad. But this was originally due, so it's a correspondence course, so I have to like send my finished piece to the instructor. It was due December 1st. I thought it was due December 31st. It was due December 1st. I emailed her and she gave me until March 1st. So I have to have this to her by, I gotta be done with this in like 2 weeks. And I think it's possible. I made a lot of really good progress on it. So let me show you. I'm doing a mixed media landscape. And this is where I am. Doesn't it look so good? So the background shiny stuff, those are called Angelina fibers. And you can, I think I got them on Etsy, but you basically sprinkle them on like a parchment paper, put a parchment paper on top and iron them, and they stick together and become iridescent. If you heat them for too long, they lose their iridescence and kind of get dull. And so I did a whole bunch of, I did a sunset basically, or sunrise. And then I don't know if you can see, it's hard to see. There we go. You can kind of see. I did a starburst of stitches. So all these are like stitches, like embroidery stitches. So that's the first thing. That's kind of the background. I do think I'm going to take more of this navy and just do a light sprinkling up here so it doesn't just look like it's such a stark difference. And this is mounted on a frame. At first I put it on a scroll frame, but I couldn't get it tight enough. It still isn't tight enough, but I don't want to make it any smaller. I don't want to like stretch it anymore. So this is just a cheap canvas from Michael's. You buy them in bulk. A cheap canvas from Michael's that I use thumbtacks and stretch it on. I rip the canvas off and just stretch it on. And in fact, I might go to Michael's today and get a bigger canvas because I feel like I need more space and they're not that expensive. And if I want to get more into this kind of mixed media stuff, I'll probably need a bigger frame. So that might be something that I do today. Anyway, so the first lesson that we learned, well, it's not the first lesson actually, but one of the lessons was this Angelina fiber, how to use it. Another lesson was using Tyvek, which is, they use it in like envelopes. They use it in hazmat suits, those white hazmat suits. But you can also buy it in sheets that are craft sheets. And so what you do is, what I did was I painted it and then you hit it with heat and it kind of like crumples and melts in really interesting ways. So that's how I made some mountains, which I then stitch over. So I painted these with acrylic paint in gray, purple, purple, black, and white, because I didn't have gray. But I had black and white. And as we all know, black and white makes gray. I made some purple mountains. And then I just did some running stitches throughout. And then the other, I have to do 2 forms of that technique. And so I made grass as well, which I'll show you how that fits into the whole thing in a second. And then I put my next lesson, which is making Ort fabric. I put that up against it and it looked neat, but it looked like I had a background and a foreground and no midground. So I ended up using one of the pieces of fabric that I bought, one of those like, they're not scrap pieces. They are display pieces, sample pieces. One of the sample pieces of scrap. It's kind of hard to tell, but it's basically, it looks like a purple twill, a purple tweed. And then I did some stitches throughout in a similar color, just to give it a little bit more movement. These are stem stitches. I did stem stitching throughout. So this part is almost done. I just have to do some more in the middle. I don't know if you can tell. Yeah. So this right here needs to be filled in with these kind of lines, and then the midground is done. So then the plan is to affix the foreground, and that is, this is the foreground. And this is supposed to be like a flower field is my plan. So we have the sunset, the mountains, the foothills, and the flower field. And this flower field is, I think, was my first lesson, which was making fabric out of orts. And so I took all my orts, and this is mostly my weaving orts, not my stitching orts, my weaving orts. And I, you stitch them using but I like this side better. Using not a walking foot, a free motion. And so it's supposed to look like that, all neat. Like, I mean, it's not, obviously the whole thing isn't neat, but like the stitches are fairly neat. But I love the chaos of the back. So I really struggled with this, and my bobbin kept getting tangled, and I kept getting all these like thick knots, but I love it. I loved the texture. So this is going to go like this on top, like that. And then the extra Tyvek is going to go like this on top of that. And so we have flowers and grass in the foreground. And the fourth thing that we learned, let me see if I can find it. I know I brought it in here. It's in my bag. Hold on, let me find it. Very bottom. So the fourth thing that we learned that I don't love, but I'm doing it anyway for this, is using a acrylic gel medium to preserve stitches and to transfer images. So I have some flowers and little flower transfers, and then I also did, and I don't remember if I showed you this or not, but I had this dragonfly that I had embroidered ages ago. It's just been sitting in my finished object bin, not doing, because I didn't know what I wanted to do with it. So I think what I'm going to do with it is, what I've done with it is cover it in a gel medium. So it's shiny and very preserved. I'm going to cut it out pretty close, and I'm going to affix it to the piece as like a really close, as opposed to a giant bug. This is not a 1950s horror movie. This is just forced perspective. And then these shiny Angelina fibers that I showed you also have sheets. And when they get hit with heat, they kind of crumple up and would make perfect wings. And I have to use the sheet as well. So I'm going to put the wings on top of these wings and attach it. Now, if I decide that I hate how this looks on it, after she sends it back to me, I will take it off, back it with some felt, and turn it into a brooch, because this would be an adorable little, like a brooch. Adorable. And I love a brooch. So I have a backup for this if I don't like it on the piece, but it's good enough for the piece. So this will be my gel medium on embroidery part of my class, and then I have the gel medium transfers, which are pictures of flowers, which are going to go in front of and behind the grasses. I'm also going to do some embroidery, some like lazy daisies, some bullion stitches, just like a bunch of stitches just to fill out and add texture to the midground and the front. just so that we have kind of flowers everywhere. So it feels like there's a lot done and a lot to do, but I think that we're pretty close to being done with this. All the hard stuff is done now. It's just putting it all together and doing some slow stitching, which I love. So that's my mixed media project, and I'm really happy with it. Like, so happy with it. Surprisingly happy with it. My idea of using that fabric in the mid-ground, I think is genius, and it's the perfect fabric, and I love it. And I'm not going for like realistic. I'm definitely going for like impressionist kind of mixed media situation. But I love the Angelina fibers. I love the Tyvek, and I want to explore that a lot more. And I love the making fabric out of orts. Like, love it. And in fact, the Tyvek, I've been eyeing. So Tyvek, you also, DuPont Tyvek is when you're building a house, you cover it up before you put the siding and stuff on. So you can buy it in huge rolls. So I can buy a roll of 3-foot by 100-foot roll of Tyvek house wrap for like $78. Friends, I still have some Tyvek left from this experiment. So I'm going to experiment with it the way I'm like envisioning it and see if it works. But I may end up with a giant roll of house wrap to craft with. Because of course I will. Of course I will. And that's not stash. That's not buying stash. That's like, I have a project I want to do and I'm buying in bulk to save money. Because the sheets, these are 8.5 by 11 sheets. They're not cheap. At all. At all. For like 28.5 by 11 sheets, it's like $15 or something like, I mean, it's like a lot. So I can get hundreds of sheets for $78. And I can do large pieces, like large art pieces. I'm so excited. Anyway. All right, those are my 2 mixed media pieces. I did work on my temperature dragon with my mom last weekend. This is my temperature dragon. Isn't he adorable? I love him. And Rachel Ray tagged me that one of her friends, Diamonds and Washi on YouTube, Diamonds and Washi, Katie Diamonds and Washi, is turning this into a diamond painting. And someone else is turning it into a diamond painting too that isn't on, oh no, I'm dropping things, isn't on YouTube, but is on Instagram, and I'm sharing all her stuff on Instagram. So if you want to see how this works up as a diamond painting, check out my Instagram where I share, I'm not going to say who it is because I didn't get permission, but where I share the picture of one of my friends doing the diamond painting version of this, and then also watch Katie on Diamonds and Washi and see what she's doing. Her last video was all about making this into a diamond painting. And in case you're wondering, I emailed Diamond Art Club this morning to see if they want to do a diamond painting collab for 2025. They probably won't, but it can't hurt to ask. And Rachel was kind enough to share an email address. So, dragon. See where I am. I'm not quite caught up yet because obviously I should be done with January and I'm not. But I'm pretty far along and I feel pretty good about it. So this, is that right? Yes. Oh, my back looks pretty good. I'll show you my back in a second too. My hoop butt. I'll show you my hoop butt. My voice is going too. Anyway, so that's where I am. This is January. We had some really, really cold days. And then we got some really warm days. And then we got cold again, and now we're warm again. So we'll see how February shapes up. February is this part of the piece with an eye. So I will be stitching an eye at some point. But that's where I am. But look at my back. What a cute hoop butt. If I had a hoop, this would be an adorable hoop butt. Yeah. I think I'm in the 20s. I only have about a week. I'm only about a week and a half behind. So that should be easy to catch up on. So that's my stitching. Oh no, that's my dragon stitching. And then I started my February mood stitching. Now I have not caught up with my January mood stitching, but this is all about progress, not perfection. And what I realized was that if I didn't start February I would just get further and further behind. So now I'm starting February, and I have January's moods like written down. So now I'm starting February so I don't get more behind. And that made me actually feel really good to start February. And I've only done one day. I'm going to pause you while I bring up the image of what it looks like, and I'll be right back. Okay, so this is what I'm stitching. This is the leap year version. I, in my listing, have a leap year and a non-leap year. So I model stitched the non-leap year, and now I'm stitching the leap year, which will be like my model stitch for the leap year. So here is what the non-leap year looks like. The only difference is that the leap year has an extra one in the middle for the 29th. So I start in the middle of these because I'm using very small scraps of fabric. And yeah, so let's show you where I am. Let's show you where I am. I have a heart, one heart, one heart. I'm doing this in DMCs, and I'm doing it in, the colors are all pinks. I haven't carded them all, but they're pinks. And I'm doing it on this like purpley fabric. I had picked out a pink fabric, but it was a little too pink for me. So this is a kind of a lavender lilac-y fabric. I don't know what count it is. I'm sorry. This is from Color and Cotton. It was one of their grab bags. They went through a lot of grab bag situations a couple years ago. So this is a grab bag. And I have a little heart. I have a little heart. I was content that day. On the first. Yesterday I was very anxious. So, you know, the days change, but that's where I am. And I'll stitch another heart or two today and hope for the best. That's the plan. That's where I am in this. And let me just show you my January just so you can see it. January is not very far along. I haven't touched it in a while. 2 weeks probably. That's where I am in January, which is a little hat with a pom-pom. That is all of my stitching. That's all my stitching and crafting. So let's just talk about some stitchy and crafty plans. Let's talk about my little thing that I bought. But first I want to talk about this. So I have started using a 5-year, 1 line a day planner. Now this is, or journal. It's not a planner, it's a journal. And I'm only using this when I start and finish stitching. I am not a record my stitching every day kind of person. I bought a, what's it called? A book of days for last year. I probably stopped using it in April. Even with the stickers, I probably stopped using it in April. So I thought that using a 5-year calendar would be better for me. Where there's not a lot of pressure to decorate it. There's not a lot of pressure to put a lot of information in it. But this is where I record my moods. I might start recording temperatures maybe in this, just so that way like next year I can see what it looked like and how I was feeling. But my main goal is to make this a starts and finishes journal. Now, some of you were very interested in this, and I just got this on Amazon. And if I remember, and I apologize if I don't remember, I will put the link to this particular one down below. I thought this one was especially pretty. It's small, it's a little squishy, but they had all sorts of them. And it's just called 1 Line a Day, a 5-year memory book. That's what it's called. And so far, it's been great. I haven't recorded every day just because I don't start and finish every day. But I do record when I do a Flosstube. I record when I start and finish things. Yeah, so I mean, I haven't recorded my start on the first of my mood stitching, but I can do that. I know when I started that. So that is my 5-year planner. And then I just don't have to buy a new one every year, and I can just keep using this. And it's nice and small, it's light. Anyway, this is working thus far, although it's only February 3rd. It may start to not work at some point. We'll see. So I did get a little gift from a friend. My friend got me a sewing tin. But weirdly, it had cookies in it. So I'm trying to work my way through the cookies so I can, use it for its intended purpose. But I have a tiny little sewing tin. Apparently, she got this for me for Christmas. And it was just sitting on her counter for 2 months. So tiny little sewing tin. I haven't quite finished the cookies in it yet, but I've been doing that. So let's talk some plans. I do want to work on all of the whips, my current whips, and I also want to work on the ones I showed you today. I need to make progress on my mixed media piece because that, like I said, has to be sent out in the next 2 weeks. I also want to make some progress on either my Puppicule or my Witch, which I don't have with me right now, or both, maybe both. And that would be great. And I'm not going to make any more plans in that. Oh, Stitchy plans. But I do have another idea. So some of you may remember a couple months ago, I talked about these frames. I am on the board of my local arts council. And my arts council has an agreement with a local, like, it's not a secondhand shop. It's basically one of those shops where when Target they buy extra stock from places like Target and sell them super cheap. It's called Dirt Cheap. I don't know if you have them. I never saw them until I moved here. But anyway, they had hundreds of these little frames. And yes, they're cute and all, but what we're doing is we're putting tiny art in them. And we're making a tiny art exhibit in the back of a tiny art truck. And I thought this was perfect for stitching. So I had planned on doing some cross stitching, but what I think I might do is some little tiny mini mixed media landscapes. And so I guess it's not really mixed media, more like take my tiny fabrics that I'm using and some embroidery and make little landscapes in it. So I'm going to kind of do one today, and I might do a little stitch along today and do a little tiny landscape because I don't think they'll take very long. I can just do them in a hoop. Yeah, and I'm going to try and make one of these today, and I'm going to paint this gold. I have a gold paint, like gold metallic paint the outside so it looks kind of, I don't know, old-timey. Maybe add a little kind of embellishments to it. And mount it on some, I have chipboard, some acid-free chipboard that I'm going to mount it on. So just slide right in. Or maybe I'll use my foam instead. I have some acid-free foam board. I maybe use that, and then it'll sit out further. So yeah, I'm going to work on that today. These are 2.5 by 2.5. And if anyone is interested in, if anyone has tiny stitching that they would like to send to be part of this community art project, I will put the address for the Columbus Arts Council down below. You can just send it right there. And then they'll give it to me and I'll mount it so that it can be fit into one of these frames. And we're going to put magnets on the back. They're going to be stuck to the side of a tiny truck that is painted artsy like. Yeah, so that's that plan. And then the other plan I have for this week involves big wooden circles. If some of you have been with me for the past, well, this isn't very long ago, over winter break, I'm a college professor. So basically the end of December and the beginning of January, I moved my office from my main house into the tiny house. And this is kind of a rental property on our property that I use as my craft space in this here room. And then right behind me is my new office that was storage, but now I'm using it as my office. Well, I have like a comfy reading chair, but I need to put my feet up because I have bad knees and I need my knees to sort of, sitting in a chair for a long time hurts my knees is basically what I'm saying. So I've been using a box, a box of books, but I want to make a footstool that looks like a giant spool of thread. So I got 2 of these for the top and the bottom, and I'm going to model it off of my favorite spool company, which I don't have right here to show you, but my favorite spool company. So I'm going to take this, and I saw someone making this making like a storage container out of like popcorn tins, but I threw away my popcorn tins. I'm like, I'm never going to use these popcorn tins. I can throw them away. Well, now I want them. But so I was thinking of maybe using a cylinder cement form. So they have those cardboard cement forms that you pour cement into to make like foundation, like piles and stuff like that. And there you can get 12-inch ones, 12-inch diameter ones. And so I want to get them to cut it down for me into like 13 or 14 inches at Lowe's. I can go to Lowe's and do it. Hopefully they'll cut it. I don't know that they will, but hopefully they will. If they don't, I don't know what I'm going to do. Because they're not selling popcorn tins anymore. That's like a Christmas thing. Yeah. But anyway, I got this for the top and the bottom, and I'm excited. I got them at Michael's. I also got some clearance boxes. These are just paper mache boxes that I thought would be fun to do some stitching on the top, poke holes in it, and like stitch directly onto it. So I did that. Got some of those too. They were on clearance. And that is all that I bought. That's all that I bought. Which is probably good. And I think that's all of my crafting and stitching content. So if you want to hear about my week, please hang out. I'd love to, it's just nice to have someone to talk to about this. And if you're not interested in my week, then thank you for joining me. I will maybe have a stitch with me of a little mixed media piece if you're interested in seeing that throughout the week or sometime during the week. And I will talk to you in my next Flosstube. Those of you who are staying, yeah, I had planned on filming this yesterday, and I was kind of finishing up something and about to come out here, and my husband runs in and is like, there's steam pouring out of our hot water heater. And I'm like, holy shit, steam coming out of a hot water heater means it's going to explode. That's bad. So we're all like scrambling, and I look at it, and it's not steam coming out of a hot water heater. It is a pinhole leak in the pipe that goes from the hot water heater to like the plumbing system. So it's the hot water is like spewing out into the closet. And I'm like, shit. Okay. So we're scrambling. We're putting like, we don't have duct tape. Apparently we don't own duct tape. So we're using electrical tape and like wrapping just to slow it down a little bit. We go to turn it off. The turn off valve in like on the hot water heater won't fully turn off. We cannot fully turn off our hot water heater from inside the house. So we turn it off as much as we can. It's clearly like way less open than it was before. I grab my hose from outside so we're going to drain it out the bottom. We have a brand new like 150-foot hose in one of those like whirly things that like help keep it organized. So I'm like pulling, and it's heavy because it still has some water in it from last time I used it. So I'm pulling, and I'm just like yanking, and I hear a snap. And so the hose snapped out of where it hooks up to this like box thing. I'm like, well, shit, now I got this thing stuck, but I could unscrew it, thank God. So I bring the hose in, we're draining it, we're opening all the taps. We have to leave our back door open because we're draining right into the sewer. So we call our home warranty company. They assign us to someone across the state, literally 2.5 hours away. They can't come until today. We have water spewing. Well, the water had actually stopped because we're draining it. So we're draining it faster than it's filling. We have all our hot water taps going. So we have to leave our back door open because there's a hose running through our back door. We do not leave our back door open in my town. Like, people will come in and steal your stuff and hurt you. Like, I don't live in a very safe town. So we called a local company and just paid for it because we needed them to fix it. So they come at like 4:30. So this all happened at 10 o'clock in the morning. At 3 or 3:30, they show up. Now, we had to pay an after-hour fee for them to come today or yesterday. They came at 3:30. I don't understand the after hours. And I was at work, and apparently they were hard selling, like they hadn't even fixed the problem, and they're hard selling him like maintenance packages and a whole new system, and they wanted him to schedule someone to come out and look at our electric. I mean, like, super hard sell. And my husband's like, no, we just need this fixed, and then we can talk about it. But we got like 2 estimates for whole system replacements because like they were obsessed with selling us stuff. So then the acute problem is done. The emergency's done. We're no longer spewing water. So we put everything back together. We have no hot water. Like, our hot water tank is no longer heating hot water. It's no longer heating water. And we don't know why. So sometime during the afternoon, the other place 2.5 hours away called us back and was like, we can be there tomorrow. And my husband's like, no, it's okay. You know, we got it fixed. Well, now, of course, we need someone to come and check to see why we don't have hot water. So then we get a message at like 11:30 at night that someone's coming between 11 and 12 today. Well, that's now. And no one's coming. We try calling this other company. It goes directly to voicemail, and the voicemail just says, hello, and then hangs up. And no one's answering at the actual company. No one's answering the number they called us from. I don't know. So we don't know if someone's coming today. We don't know if we're going to have hot water at all this weekend. It's a mess. Now, luckily, this house, like I said, this is supposed to be a rental house. And it has a bathroom, but the bathroom is really like old and dingy. But it has hot water in the shower. So that is good. So we can still take showers here. We can wash clothes in cold. It's fine. But we can't run our dishwasher. So we're going to have dishes in the dirty dishes in the dishwasher. I guess we can wash them in cold, but wash them like in the sink in cold, but like, I don't know how clean they get in cold. Anyway, that's what happened yesterday and today. We have no hot water. Wednesday, I submitted a very large, very ambitious fellowship that I'm not going to get, but it took a lot of time. So that took hours and hours and hours. I'm also teaching the honors section of a class, and the honors students have a thing they have to do every Thursday evening from 6 to 8. Now, it's supposed to be every other evening. It's called Forum, and it is they all get together in the big auditorium. They bring in speakers. They talk about different things. And then on the alternate Thursdays, they have like an extra class in their honors class that they're taking. And so I'm teaching an honors class, so I should be teaching this Thursday class every other week. Well, because of scheduling of Forum, I've been teaching it every week. So almost all of my week 1, week 2, we didn't have classes because of the snow. Week 3, week 4, week 5 is next week. I don't teach it. 6 and 7, I do teach it. So like, I basically have had 2 weeks off from Thursday night classes in the first 2 months. Now, I don't see them at all in March, and I see them once in April, but I'm tired. And then I have like meetings on Mondays. I have meetings on Wednesday nights. I have meetings on Monday nights. I have my craft or dark on Wednesday nights, and I'm just tired. And then I get home from all these things at like 7:30, 8 o'clock, and I've been working all day. And my husband has been working by himself all day. And so he just talks to me. And he talks to me all evening about his day. And he's not complaining, and he's very excited, and I'm excited for him. But I'm so tired at night, and I have been doing very little stitching. Like, I've just been like working and working and working. And I get home and I just crash, and I play a game. Sometimes I stitch, like last night I stitched on my mixed media piece, but like, and I feel really bad because like I want him to be excited about his job and tell me about it, but it's a lot of talking. So I said something on Thursday and he was cool about it. I'm like, I'm sorry. I know that you've been like sitting by yourself all day looking at spreadsheets and sending out contracts, but I'm tired and it's 8 o'clock, 8:30, 9 o'clock. And we've been talking about your day for an hour and a half and I just can't anymore. I'm sorry. I felt so bad, but like, I just needed no more input. I just wanted to like sit and like watch my friends on YouTube and do stitching. And so that's where my week was. It's just been a lot. Yesterday was not good, but other than that, nothing was bad. I'm just exhausted. So that's where I am this week. This coming week, I have Thursday night off. Thank goodness. Thursday night this past week, we made paper, which was really fun. We talked about ancient China. We made paper. But man, excuse me. It's been a lot. This semester has been a lot just in general. It's just been a lot. And again, nothing really bad, just very full and very little downtime. And then on the 17th, I have a big competition that I'm hosting at my university. And I hope that it goes well. It's a history competition. Yeah. So February is busy, but March will be way chiller. March will be way, way chiller. That's for sure. We're already planning our classes for the fall. It's wild. It's wild. And we're hiring 2 new people. So our first candidate comes on Wednesday. So tomorrow I have to go into my office and clean it because my office is a disaster. And I do not want new people coming in and seeing my office and thinking, the person who runs this department is a disaster. All right. That's enough of my day. I want to thank you all for hanging out with me. I have so many ideas about with like all my new fabrics and this mixed media thing and these tiny projects. And I'm really excited. And my goal is to have an art, to have like an art exhibit at my gallery. I think that'd be really fun. I don't know if they'll let me do it because I'm on the board, but maybe. You never know. All right, friends. Thanks so much for joining me on my kind of long rambly thing today. Thanks for listening to my weekly complaints. I appreciate it. And thanks for being so supportive of my stitching. And thanks again to my patrons for just kind of hanging out with me. Oh, we had our first Patreon Zoom on last weekend, and it was so much fun. Thank you for coming out. That's when I did my mountains. So thanks for coming out. That was super fun. Yeah, and I am excited about crafting. I'm actually going to go and do a little mixed media, do a little tiny little thing for here. See how it goes. And I will catch you in the future. Please take good care of yourselves and have a good one. Bye.